My name's Meg Hudson, and I am with Lula Brazil. We're a new restaurant in Rehoboth Beach. We just opened on August 28th, just in time for the slow season. So, and actually, Chris, who introduced me, said something that was perfect, that kind of set me up for my speech here today. He said that I was, from Lula Brazil, a steakhouse. We are not a steakhouse, and that is actually one of the reasons that I created this restaurant. I was an exchange student to Brazil back in 1981, 33 years ago, and it was such a life-changing, incredible experience for me. I am 17 in this exotic land in a coastal community of about 2 million people right on the Atlantic Ocean in this exotic country with a language I didn't know and I knew nothing about the culture except what I learned in geography in elementary school about the Amazon. So what I found was a very fascinating culture, an incredible people that had this certain zest for life, and I just embraced it. So fast forward to now, August 28th, when we opened, one of the things that I was really committed to was opening a place that celebrated the diverse culture that Brazil has, that many people in the world don't know about. Most people do think of steakhouses when they think of Brazilian cuisine. That's a very small part of the cuisine from the southern part of Brazil that one very intelligent and probably very wealthy man imported into this country. And those are great, but there are 4,500 miles worth of coastline in Brazil. And so you can imagine that seafood is a very important part of the cuisine there. I don't want to get into too many details because I only have 6 minutes, but the culture, the cuisine is based on the native culture that has a lot of yucca, there's a lot of coconut, pineapple, a lot of exotic fruits and things, but also, too, Portugal was the country that settled Brazil. So it's a little different than the rest of Latin America, and that's why people don't know a lot about the culture because they kind of lump it in with the rest of Latin America. And then there's an African influence from the slave trade that came through the central part of the country. So the cuisine is not very spicy generally. It's more savory. I say it goes more towards like Mediterranean flavors, although Portuguese cuisine definitely has their own unique flavors itself, but that's the best thing I can compare it to. The African influence adds a lot of color and spice, to it, but spice is used more as a condiment. So anyway, I don't want to get into all that, but what I have is a lovely restaurant right on Rehoboth Avenue, where I was just trying to create something different to introduce people to the culture that may not know something. We had the World Cup there in June. We have the Olympics coming up. I mean, they speak Portuguese. They don't speak Spanish. So what I've got is a place where if you come and you're not Brazilian, you can get a feel for the culture, although we're Brazilian-inspired because it's not always easy to get the ingredients or the trained help to create the foods. But we also, if you are Brazilian, you can come and feel like you have a connection to the culture. And that was an unintended outcome. I've had so many Brazilians come in that have met other Brazilians that they didn't know in the area. And so it's kind of fun. So, you have the food, you have the beverages. They have great drinks called caipirinhas. They're made with their unique liquor called cachaça. It's a type of rum, but it's not really rum. So, and then there's the music and the dance. Think about samba and, all these different things and carnival, and it's great. And so that's what we're really trying to capture there. So we're a year-round restaurant. We'll be closed a few weeks in January. But what I want to tell you about is that, so we have the full-service restaurant. We're just open for dinner right now. We have DJ. We have a huge dance floor. We have the only real dance floor in Rehoboth. We have sometimes live music, and it's my goal to bring as much of the Brazilian culture as possible. But how I got here was about 4 years ago. I went through a huge life-changing experience. I was living in Wilmington. I owned a restaurant with my now ex-husband. I had a corporate job for 14 years, and big house, no children, little dog, had this very full life and working a lot of hours. and my marriage ended. And it was like a big shock, because here I'm working 80, 90 hours a week. We're just trying to survive this awful economy, and then here I am. So I really created a life for myself. Through that, I relied on my faith, because that's all I had. I had no money, I had no kids. I'm like, what am I going to do? And I really looked at what I wanted for the next 10 years of my life. And out of that, I took my love for the Brazilian culture, my love for hospitality, and I just started creating. And it led me to Rehoboth. I had no intention. I had no idea where I was going to go, and whether I had a great life in Wilmington, but I just decided just to keep creating. And so that's what came out of this, and it has been a fabulous experience. I mean, I've been many times I could have been stopped, where there's been no possibility. Like, I'm thinking, like, it's done, it's over, and I just kept, what was I committed to, and who did I want to impact? I really wanted to have a great business for my employees. I was really hoping that people would have like a fulfilled lives, that we'd get this connection with the culture. And when I stayed committed to that, all the other little stuff went away, and I went over mountains that I never imagined that I could do. And I did it on my own. I'm doing this on my own. I have a team of people. I have help. It's not alone. But I'm really just so clear that if you really stay focused and committed to what it is that you want, that you can really, really achieve a lot and really fulfill on whatever it is that you care about. So that's what I wanted to share with you today, and thank you.
Well, great, thank you.
You're welcome. Yes.
Questions or comments?
Oh boy.
This is easy now. You mentioned that you're not a steakhouse, but you didn't mention what you are.
Oh, okay.
What are your...
Oh, okay. I was talking about the seafood. So it's Brazilian-inspired cuisine, so there's a lot of different regions. I actually I went and spent a week in Brazil. Well, I spent 2 months in Brazil in 2012, debating if this is what I wanted to do. And I had met a lovely chef. Her name is Yara Castro Roberts. I spent a week with her. She has a lovely cookbook, and it's called The Brazilian Table, and it really shows all the diverse cuisines in Brazil, like really represents them well. So I spent a week with her there, and then she came here for about 3 weeks. And what it is so there's a lot of seafood. There's chicken. I mean, it's everything. We do everything from seafood. We do have the steaks. We have, poultry. We have vegetarian things, and the culture is very diverse. And there's as I said, there are 3 main components, the different cultural things, but there's a huge, it's the largest population of Japanese outside of Japan. There's a huge Italian population. I mean, it is a very diverse culture. So you can go to a restaurant there and you can see all different cuisines represented. Now, we have our traditional dishes. There's these seafood stews. They're called moquecas. They use a coconut milk and a palm oil, so there's like no dairy. People that are like gluten-free and dairy-free love coming in because a lot of the menu is friendly that way. So yeah, so basically we have everything, pretty diverse menu. And it's not 100% Brazilian. Go ahead. Oh, let's see. I have some little handouts too. I think it's there. Yeah, so what we did with the menu is we have our appetizers, our soups, salads. I did the Brazil. We actually processed a change in the menu. It's a little hard to read, but we did the Brazilian words and then the English words. So the moquecas are these great. That's one of the things that makes it very unique. And then we have different stews. We have. Our most popular dish just about is our Brazilian hamburger, which we find very humorous. It's 100% Angus burger. It's just like kind of what they do to it, and people just love it. Feijoada is a really famous Brazilian dish. It's a black bean stew with different kinds of meats in it. But, whoops, sorry, I hit the wrong thing. But, we do all of our, we do a lot of grilled things. We have pasta, linguine with clams. We do a great risotto. And then we have all the little different, we use a lot of the yucca, which they call mandioca there. We make it right, we use it fresh, they peel it and they fry it or they mash it. We do like a plantains, we do them in a puree and then we do them like sliced and baked. So a whole lot of, we have a kids menu, so yeah. So anyway, I hope that answered your question. Thank you.
I actually want to
Yes.
testify. I don't have a question for you.
Oh.
I also had an exchange experience a year long for Brazil in the 70s.
Oh, wow.
I went to your restaurant. I love your restaurant. It is
Thank you.
amazing. The
Oh,
food is
thank
unique
you.
and wonderful, and your staff was just delightful. And I keep bringing people back, but I
Well,
need to
thank you.
testify. It's a wonderful place
Oh,
to stop
wow.
by.
Thank
and
you.
it brought back 38-year-old memories for me. So it was really
That's
lovely.
what I was, and that's what I was hoping for. Whether, like you said, like whether you had a connection, whether you were Brazilian or not. And thank
It was
you.
lovely.
I appreciate it. And we work every day. It's a work in process. Progress. Opening late in the season and getting everybody trained, and having a chef our chef is Moroccan, but he was raised in southern France. He has a great culinary background. He worked with me in Wilmington, but he actually worked with the chef. And so thank you. I appreciate that.
Congratulations on your final opening in August, correct?
Thank you.
I think we met somewhere along the line as far as the Mid-Atlantic Food and Wine
Yes.
Group, right?
Yeah.
I was wondering, since that was several months ago, how long was your permitting process to get into business? I'm always interested in how long it takes an entrepreneur to get into business with all our regs,
Yes.
known and unknown.
Yes. Thank you for that question. That's where my biggest growth probably was in that process, because I've never been involved in a construction process. I was told I didn't need a contractor because I wasn't changing anything major. And it was a challenge, and that's where I really had to stay committed, because there were days when I thought, I can't do this. And then when I said, okay, what am I committed to? Why am I doing this? That's when I could be in action. So everything takes like twice or 3 times as long as you expect, even the smallest thing like just laying down a new floor. The fire, just a little step back. So before I signed the lease, I did everything I knew to like mitigate any potential problems, although knowing that there would be some. And I had the fire marshal, or had the inspector in. I had the health department in, because the building had a lot of problems. I had an electrical contract. I had all these people come in, and I thought I was pretty aware, familiar with the process. So I get into it, and for example, the fire process should have taken about 3 weeks. I took the chef with me. We met with the fire marshal before I submitted my drawings, because I was told I could hand draw them because we weren't doing anything major. All we were doing basically was painting floors, and then the electrical contractor gets their own permits, the plumber gets their own permits. So we go meet with the fire marshal, show him my drawings. He's like, well, you need to make a few changes here and there. So I submit them. I wait 3 weeks, nothing. So I wait 4 weeks, and I get a rejection. And they're saying, we don't like your drawings, you have to redo them. Well, that's like could be $1,500, $2,000. But even at that, we're talking time at this point. We're in like May, we're trying to open. It's like getting like late. It ended up taking 7 weeks, something that should have taken 3. And I did what I thought I knew what to do. I did, and it still happened. So, and then by the time I got done with all that, and because then you can't get the city permits, I had to wait a month for the city for painting and floors. I mean, it was like kind of, and then you just had to keep in action. And then when it was time, when we got all that done for the plumber, he's backed up. It's the summer. I had to wait like 3 weeks for the plumber. And I tried calling many different people to try to get somebody else in. So thanks for the question. It was a challenge, and that was my biggest growth opportunity there.
Another question, please, if you're ready.
Yeah, sure.
No doubt the food is delicious, well prepared, and you have done your research, and that works really well for those who have butts in seats. But
I'm sorry, that works well. I didn't quite.
Those that have butts in seats, somebody that can try
Right.
your fare.
Right.
How do you position yourself against all the competition in Rehoboth to be able to attract those that are, to attract your customers, especially when we're all victims of being habits and have places we go and usually. How are you going to attract me or this group to your restaurant?
Yeah, thanks for the question, because that has been a challenge, and we haven't quite gotten over that hurdle yet. With opening so late, what I found about Rehoboth is it's a fabulous community, and people, the locals, are very loyal to the businesses that have been there for years, and as they should be. Once September rolls around, they come in town. Everybody, it's very value-driven, so you have to have specials. And so we created specials, and we thought, okay, you know, people will come, and they didn't. Our September and October were great. We grossed over $180,000 in 2 months, and so we really, you know, we very strong on Sundays through Thursdays. As long as we were doing about $1,000 of revenue a day, we were breaking even. We were doing great. It was happy, you know, 20, 30 customers, whatever. And then November 1st rolled around, and it was like dead. Like on the weeknights, sometimes it would be 0, sometimes it would be 30. And how to prepare and keep the food fresh, and the off-season's been a challenge. The weekends have been good, but they're weather-driven. So we've done as many as 300 people on a Saturday night to 40 people on a Saturday night. So you try to predict, and it's not always predictable. It's but anyway, so what we've done is we have specials every day, and we just try to keep getting the word out, and that as we meet people, I think the best thing is word of mouth, that people come in, that they have a good experience, and that they spread the word. And I am very committed that everyone who walks through that door have a great experience. And I'm there 99% of the time. I have a commitment twice a month. I have to be in Philadelphia, but otherwise I'm there. I live upstairs, so I can't get away. And you know, my thing is I really try to touch all the tables. I try to find out, you know, what people's experiences are. And what I tell them is, you know, a lot of times people don't like to complain, or, you know, if something, or they don't like something, and I really try to give them the space that they can tell me honestly what their experience is, because what I say is, if I don't know how you feel, or you don't give, or if I don't receive feedback, I don't know where to focus our efforts on. So, and we do listen, and we change as quickly as we can. Not always, you know, as fast, but we do as best we can there. So, did that answer your question? I'm sorry, I didn't quite hear you.
Sounds like it's very interesting.
Oh, thank you, thank you.
Have you thought about shortening up your nights and focusing on just a couple of nights a week?
I'm sorry, focus, my hearing is not that great.
I'm sorry, I
That's
didn't have
okay.
the mic, and my voice is not that strong, I think.
That's okay.
Have you thought about shortening up the amount of time you're offering your restaurant open, so that you don't have the preparation and the waste and so
Oh,
forth?
you mean like closing days?
Well, like making a big deal about being focused on Friday and Saturday,
Right.
or some other combination of maybe 2 days a week.
Right, that's a great idea. So we're actually going to be closed for a couple weeks. I know that doesn't exactly answer your question. We're going to be closed for a little bit in January. It's a big place, 5,000 square feet, and it's drafty, so I'm like afraid for my first heat bill. So we're going to close for a few weeks in January, but when we reopen, we'll probably be closed Tuesdays and Wednesdays. We were trying to figure out which were the days to close, and that's another thing. We couldn't get any real feeling. Every week it was a little bit different, and but I agree. And what we're doing is, like on Wednesdays, we're doing 3 courses for $28. It's a great bargain, because our picanha, that's a steak. It's like almost like sort of like a sirloin. It's a lot of flavor. It is normally like $26. So you're getting a super salad. You get the 8-ounce steak and dessert, and it's $28. So, you know, some people may not see that as a value, but I mean, for us, for the type of cuisine we're doing, it is. We're doing, like, you know, nights where we do a quesadilla combo, it's $12. We do half-price wine by the glass on Sundays. So we're doing things. It's just getting the word out is where the challenge is. Where do you spend your advertising dollars? Because for print media, I'm finding you have to do such frequency to get a return on it. It's a little difficult for us right now.
Right.
So.
And it's a great story. You have a great story. How something so bad and negative can turn out to be so positive. But I just want to plant an idea. Are you aware of Chicks for Charity?
No.
Okay, there's a Lewis restaurant, and they sponsor a nonprofit organization, Chicks for Charity, once a month, and it's consistent income. Meals are $25, and they can hold up to like 60 to 80 people, and 20 of it goes to the restaurant, and 5 goes to the nonprofit organization. So it's a great fundraiser, it's social responsibility, and it's consistent income for the restaurateur. So.
Yeah, I'd love to know more about that, because that's the other thing that I feel that's been missing for me. So I was a resident of Wilmington for 17 years and I loved it. I loved Wilmington. I loved it, and I wasn't sure I wanted to move. But like I said, when I started creating this, the way I wanted my life to look for the next 10 years, Rehoboth was the natural thing. So, but what I realized, I've been working so hard, I'm really not a part of the community. And I was in Wilmington. I was really involved in, there's a charity called the Flower Market. It's a children's charity. I was like neighborhood, president of my neighborhood association. We had, like in the city, I was very involved in my work. So I was a part of the community. So that's something that's missing for me now. Missing, personally as well, because, there's all about that life-work balance, and it's like, where do you want to focus your efforts? So I'm open. I'm, starting to get, now that I can breathe a little bit, I'm starting to get out there and find where I want to put my efforts.
So I just want to say congratulations. I'm thinking economically. So talk a little bit about, I heard you say where you've acquired your knowledge, skill, and experience, having gone to Brazil and learned.
Right.
The person that you mentored with has come here.
Right.
The food service industry is very challenging.
Yes.
And we know that the turnover for staff is totally, much more challenging, I'll put
Yes.
it that way. So what's your plan or POA, if you will, for keeping your staff, training your staff, and now that we have the season downloading, if you will, how, going forward, how you're going to go into the new year, preparing for the next part of the season,
Right.
the new season coming?
Okay. Yeah,
What's
great.
the plan?
Okay, that's great. So we have really staffed down, obviously, for the season. What we've done is, okay, so we have, I'm pretty much it. Like in the summer, as we get busier, I'm going to have more like management staff. So I had a person from Wilmington who came with me. She worked for me 6 years at the restaurant in Wilmington. She was worked at Kahunaville, if you ever heard of that. She was a head bartender there for 8 years. Worked for me 6. Quit her teaching job and came down to help me for about 6 months to get open. And now she just moved to be with her boyfriend in Dallas. So hopefully she'll come back. She was very instrumental. She could finish my sentences. So I had her on my team, and I knew I couldn't do everything and train everybody. So she really got everybody trained in every aspect. It didn't matter whether it was the bar or the dining, because she knew the experience that we gave our customers in Wilmington. And I felt very confident. And the chef too worked with me. So we were all like on the same page. And I had this like trust factor with them. I now have a floor manager who I try to stay out of the staff issues as much as possible. And he is working, I try to keep him between me and the staff. And I really empower him I tell him what I want, and then, he's responsible.
Does the hiring?
Yeah, he does, and I help out of it, but I really trust him. He's been around long enough to train people and to listen. We're constantly listening for what it is we want, and we get feedback so many different ways, especially with social media today. You know what's going on, and we have in-house comment cards, and like I said, since I'm there and I'm actively talking to customers, I get an idea of what's going on. But we have a training manual, we have the menu with all the descriptions, we have a MP3, I think it is, file. It's an audio file with all the words, the pronunciations in Portuguese and in English. That a guy who I know who's got his master's in linguistics, and he teaches, so he took the whole menu. So they have that. So they have a manual that has all the explanations, and then just and it's most of the people that work there have been with us since August now, so we don't have a lot of new. But now that we have this great base staff and a few key like servers. When somebody new comes in, we pair them up and let them be there. And then we have a book, it's called How to Be a Brazilian. It was by LeBlanc, it's a brand of cachaça, and it was like so timely. It's this little book, and that's part of their required reading before and they get menu tests.
Okay,
So,
very good.
yeah.
We have time just for one more quick question.
Okay.
Have you tried Rehoboth Foodie?
Yes, actually, I was on his radio show on Saturday.
Okay,
so
good.
He's been great. He actually came in within the first 2 weeks. I mean, he was there like practically the first day we opened, and he's been a huge supporter. So he did a review,
Right.
and then he has a new radio show. It's on 105.9. It's called Sips and Bites. It's on Saturday afternoons. It used to be by Susan Monday, and so he's been a huge support. I kind of wish he had waited a couple weeks before he came in because it was like literally, I mean, we opened going from 0 to doing like 150 people in like 3 days on a Saturday, so it was tough. And we didn't have time. We knew there was a few things that need to be adjusted and we hadn't gotten there yet. So he's great though. He did a little update. He gave us a great review, and he's been great.
A couple other tips or leads.
Okay.
Personally, I don't go into Rehoboth. I live in Lewis. I don't
okay.
go into Rehoboth during the season. I refuse to pay the parking.
I don't blame you.
Okay? So on the shoulder seasons and even in the winter, I will drive down and enjoy myself. And as a retiree, I'm interested in a one-night-a-week retiree low prices or smaller dishes and
Right.
low prices. But that's one niche that
Okay.
you could explore. And another is to also take advantage of the military that are in the area. Many of us, I was in Brazil, in Rio and Recife,
Oh, wow.
and a couple other places back 100 years ago. I think it was 1971. And wonderful place. Haven't been back except to a Brazilian steakhouse
Right.
in North Carolina where my son worked. But I would encourage you to target the military
Okay.
as well as the charity. So that should give you 2 or 3 nights a week that you're targeting. And another thing about your feedback. I don't know, I'm not a technical guru, but if there's some sort of a little iPad or something that you can put on the table where people can give you feedback right there, that's how people communicate nowadays.
Yeah.
They're always on their cell phone. If you
Yeah.
can get them, provide them with something so that if something's not right,
Yeah.
you'll get the real word.
Right.
Okay, and I say this from the viewpoint of having owned a bed and breakfast.
No, that's true because it is a different, like being in Rehoboth at the beach is a little different atmosphere than Wilmington
Right.
in terms of like she was asked about the staff and stuff, and there's probably even a little more turnover. So thank you, because yeah, I mean there's things that happen, and I still don't know everything that happens, but I'm out there listening the best I can. So we do have a handwritten comment card, but I like your idea. I don't know how I would do that, but yeah, I know, but you would. But no, okay. Well, thank you. I appreciate it. That's something to explore. So okay, I think.
Just real quick, what can we do as a community to help and support you grow?
Spread the word. Come in and see us if you like it. Spread the word, and we're always open for comments and feedback because we do listen. We had a dish that it was a love-hate dish, and people loved it. People hated it, so we kind of decided to like move it to an appetizer. So because it wasn't worth that sort of feedback. I mean, and then of course somebody complained that we didn't have it for a week, but that's the way it goes. But yeah, we always welcome feedback and just spread the word. That's really, I think, the most valuable thing that we can rely on.